Welcome to another round of Prem and Proper here at SDH as we take you through the Premier League. It was a busy week and a half with teams having to juggle makeup matches and trying to figure out how to get back on schedule as we lean into the current match week. We'll go through the results and get you ready for the matchups on the weekend and some sound to get you through all the news and activities of the week. But let's go through what happened in the last week and a half, and we say week and a half because, once again, you had matches in the midweek, and what we'll do is we'll go backward and start with the two midweek matches in the Premier League, and you had Brighton over Crystal Palace by the score of 1-0, Brentford with 2 goals on the board, Tony and Vissa at a plus 138, winning on the road at Southampton by the score of 2-0. 4 matches last Sunday, Newcastle over Wolves by the score of 2-1. Arsenal shuts out Fulham by the score of 3-0 at Craven Cottage. 2 surprise draws on the board, Manchester United, Southampton, a goalless draw at a plus 509. West Ham and Aston Villa at a plus 227. Your action on Saturday, the 11th, Manchester City got the 1 goal they needed, knocking out Crystal Palace by the score of 1-0. Everton's surprise result, getting full points over Brentford by the score of 1-0. Leeds and Brighton, a 2-2 draw. Chelsea 3-1 over Leicester. Spurs 3-1 over Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth, the shock result of the previous weekend by knocking off Liverpool by the score of 1-0. Then going back into action from Sunday, Monday, and Saturday from the week before. Brentford over Fulham by the score of 3-2 back on March the 6th. You had the 2 matches on Sunday. Liverpool's shock 7-0 result over Manchester United. Nottingham Forest and Everton had a 2-2 draw. Then back on the 4th, it was Southampton over Leicester 1-0. Arsenal 3-2 over Bournemouth, down 2-0. Come back to get the win at a minus 455. Villa over Crystal Palace by the score of 1-0. Brighton for West Ham by the score of 4-0, which started, if not reinforced, all of the ideas of possibly sending David Moyes on his way as manager of West Ham. Chelsea over Leeds 1-0. Wolves over Spurs 1-0. Manchester City over Newcastle by the score of 2-0. So that sets up your standings. And once again, Arsenal, 27 matches played, 5 points clear of Manchester City, 66 points to 61. Big gap for third. Manchester United third at 50. Spurs at 48. Manchester United still with a match in hand. Newcastle still with 2 matches in hand. And they have played 25 matches, 44 points. They are in 5th. They are in the Europa League spot as we go. 6th, Liverpool with their rush of form. They are at 42 points ahead of Brighton on goal difference, plus 18 to plus 15. Brighton is in 7th, 41 points. Brentford, 26 matches played. They're in 8th. Fulham, 39 points. They've lost 2 in a row. They are in 9th. Chelsea right now in 10th. They've won 2 in a row, 37 points. They are in 10th. Villa, 35 points in 11th, unbeaten in their last 3. And this is where Group 3 starts. 3, 6, 9 teams currently separated by 5 points when it comes to the relegation fight. Crystal Palace has lost 3 in a row. They're at 27 points, ahead of Wolves on goal difference, minus 13 to minus 17. Forest, 26 points. They only have 2 points in their last 5 matches. Everton, with the win, they are out of the relegation scrap at the moment. 4 points in their last 2. They're at 25 points in 15th. Leicester lost 4 in a row, 16 losses in 26 matches. They are in 16th, ahead of West Ham on goal difference, minus 9 to minus 10. West Ham has hit every category in their last 3. They're ahead of Bournemouth, who's at minus 26 in goal difference, and that will be what will hurt them down the line. Bournemouth, they're in the drop zone at 26 matches played. Leeds in the drop zone, 26 matches played at 23 points. Southampton is at 22 points, and they've hit each of the columns. They've won 2 of their last 5, but they've hit each of the columns in their last 3. So that sets up our sound for this particular episode. And a lot of it has to do with the possible ownership change at Manchester United. First off, from our friends at Sky, Kaveh Solakal talks about the Sheikh's visit to Manchester United on Thursday.
First, though, let's start with the breaking news coming out of Manchester United about the potential sale of the club. Our chief reporter, Kaveh Solakal, right across this, of course. Now, Kaveh, I know that as the chief, you've got links and contacts all over the place. So this is important. What are you hearing coming out of what's happened at Manchester United today?
Look, we're expecting the Qataris to make a second bid for Manchester United within 10 days. Sheikh Jassim's bid have already made one offer for United before the soft deadline, which was a month ago. The Glazer family, who own United, liked that bid enough to say to them, OK, you're through to the second stage of the process. And what has happened today is that some of Sheikh Jassim's representatives have been going to Old Trafford and also United's training ground to meet some of the senior executives there to have a look at what they will actually be buying. And what they're going to be told is, OK, once you've had a look at everything, now you've got 10 days to make another bid, a second bid for the club. And I am very confident that they will make that second bid. And a source in the US is telling me this evening there should be no doubt at all that Sheikh Jassim wants to be the owner and custodian of United. In the past few weeks, I've been saying that Sheikh Jassim is not the kind of person who's going to overpay wildly for United. That was what I was told. But today I'm getting the sense that he will do what it takes to become the owner of Manchester United. Again, I'm not saying that he's going to throw money at it, but the sense I'm getting is that he really, really does want United, even though, of course, there are other bidders who want the club as well.
Busy time for Thomas Frank at Brentford. We mentioned right now that they've won 2 of their last 3. They're in 8th. They're within shouting distance of European spots. They got the win last time out. And then what was his response when Ivan Toney got picked for the national team? Here's the response from Brentford, their own selves.
Very proud and pleased and happy, especially on behalf of Ivan. I think he truly deserved it. I said to him, and in front of all the players this morning, that how pleased we are as a club, how happy we are on his behalf, and how well deserved it is. And I don't know many people or players with his mentality, with a lot of things going on, and his ability to focus on what is the most important thing, what happened out there on the grass. So I think that's a huge and well-deserved praise. Actually, just before going in here, if you look at the goals and assists combined, he's 3rd on that list in the Premier League, which is remarkable, with 20 goal involvement. On that top 10, there are 4 Arsenal players, 2 City players, Rashford, Salah, Kane, and Ivan Toney from Brentford. Wow.
I want to come to his mentality in just a moment, but do you know how he found out?
Yes, I did. Actually, I went down and we got an email this morning, and from the FA. I said yes, and then I wanted to go downstairs and speak to Ivan, and I found Saman Godas, and I said, Saman, have you heard Ivan is in the squad? Oh yes, okay, fine. And I went down and looking for him. Then I went out and went back into the eating area. And I said, congratulations. Did you know? No, someone just told me. So so he was happy.
So he didn't actually know until you...
No, not before I said, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We mentioned what's going on with Manchester United. Manchester United in 3rd, 50 points, 26 matches played, a full 16 points behind Arsenal. Erik ten Hag was asked about the differences in their seasons, and Erik ten Hag mentioned having his roster on full.
When you see the whole season, and we had some setbacks more, also shorted some players more. But every time we dealt with it. And it's about the players who are available. And every time there was a team on the pitch who dealt with it. But what it's true, I think, till now, I think we had only one, in one game, we had the squad available totally. And we had only one game that I said, okay, now I can pick my team also from tactical approach. That was perfect, and it was against Man City home, and it was the only time in this season. And other time, every time, of in every game is one player is suspended, one player is injured or illness. So we have to deal with it well. But of course, you hope, like see Arsenal, they almost have all the time their squad is in total is available.
Courtesy, once again, of Manchester United, their own selves. Now, you also have the other rival bidder, the group from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the Ineos group, visiting as well. So rival bidders visiting Old Trafford this week, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports News.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a significant day, actually, because a Qatari delegation representing the bid for United made by Sheikh Jassim is visiting Old Trafford. So they're going to have a look at what they potentially could be buying. This delegation is made up of some of Sheikh Jassim's closest personal advisors, their lawyers, accountants, bankers. They'll be speaking to key people at Manchester United. They've also had some access to United's accounts, but not full access yet. And they will also be visiting the training ground today. I think they will be given some presentations from people like John Murtough, the director of football at United. So the process, the potential sale of Manchester United, the process is starting to speed up a bit. It's been going on for a long time. But the fact that the Qataris are actually in Manchester today is significant. And of course, tomorrow, we're going to have Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the other main known bidder for United, doing exactly the same thing. He will be there in person, actually. I think he owns Nice, and Nice are playing in Europe this evening. So I think the plan is for him to watch that game in the south of France and then fly to Manchester tomorrow.
OK. I mean, do the Glazers actually want to sell the club is a question?
That's a very good question. I think we don't know 100% that they want to sell the club. They haven't come out and said they want to sell the club. What they've said is that they are looking at alternative strategies. So they may well decide to borrow some more money. They may decide to sell a minority stake. But I'm just thinking the fact that this process has gone on for so long and it's become so public. And for instance, the fact that we know that a Qatari delegation are going to be at Old Trafford today and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be there tomorrow. I think you could look at it and think if the Glazers didn't want to sell United, they could have sort of dampened down expectations. They could have come out or let it be known that they didn't want to sell the club. The more this goes on, the more the fans who want the Glazers out are anticipating them selling up. And I think it would be difficult now to envisage a situation where they come out and say, you know what, actually, it's not for sale. Of course, they can do that. But I think if they do that, there would be a big fan backlash. And also, the share price of United would plummet.
And then we mentioned Manchester City. Early in the season, admitted, you heard it, we heard it here as well. Pundits were saying they didn't know if Erling Haaland could handle the style of play in the Premier League. Safe to say I think he has. Now you have folks changing their tunes, or at least reinforcing the opposite. Charlotte Dunker and Jason Burt asked on Sky Sports News about what Erling Haaland could possibly achieve.
Yeah, I think we're all running out of superlatives to talk about him and describe the impact that he's had on this Manchester City team. Just remember, one of the main reasons why Manchester City wanted to bring him to the club, I think he was asked about it in his first press conference, was can you make the difference and bring this Champions League title that's evaded Pep Guardiola at Manchester City to the Etihad? And I mean, scoring 5 in a knockout tie of the European elite competition is definitely one way of showing that he is the one that can make the difference. I think we could spend the next half an hour going through all the records that he's broken. It's absolutely astonishing. What's he on now? 39 goals this season. I think he was asked at the start of the season if he had a target, and a few of us are thinking maybe he could hit 50. And you're thinking, surely not. Surely he's not going to hit 50. But we're in March and he's got 39. So.
Yeah, youngest player to hit 39, youngest player to hit 30 goals in the Champions League as well. So 39 goals, City's biggest ever top scorer for a season, Jason. And bear in mind, this is obviously your paper in the Telegraph, that we're in March of a very interrupted season due to the World Cup. What have you made of it all in your years watching football? How remarkable is this young man?
I mean, I feared for everyone when he signed for Manchester City. That hasn't quite worked out. Obviously, they're second in the league at the moment, and we've even had people questioning whether or not he's actually been the problem. He's obviously, whether he's unsettled the team in terms of the way they play, and obviously they haven't been quite firing as well as they have done. But actually, I think that's nonsense, really. I mean, he has been utterly fantastic. I think the failings or the sort of limitations at City this season have been the other players, really. I think they've actually struggled at times to connect with him, Kevin De Bruyne apart. And actually, what was interesting to me tonight was that De Bruyne arguably was man of the match, even though Haaland scores 5 goals. And obviously Kevin De Bruyne had those words from Pep Guardiola the other day, sort of talking about him having to basically improve and step up. So I think he really is key to City as well, obviously in terms of the supply line to Haaland. But no, I think he's achieved so far what I kind of expected him to. I thought he would take the league by storm. I thought he would take Europe by storm in terms of the goals he scores. I think he, at 50, as Charlotte says, is a very realistic total. He'll probably exceed that now. I mean, I think the question around City is more to do with the other players and how they've integrated him rather than with Haaland himself.
All right, let's get you into the juice boxes for Matchweek 27, starting Friday night football, 4 o'clock Eastern. Forest hosting Newcastle at City Ground. Newcastle going in at a -147. Nottingham Forest is a +455. 5 matches on your Saturday, 1 on your Sunday, and then you get into FA Cup break and all of that. So it'll be a 2-week gap between the matchups on Saturday and Sunday before everybody kicks back in on April Fool's Day. Irony not lost on us here on this show. Villa hosting Bournemouth. That one is at 11 o'clock. Villa's a -139. Bournemouth north of +400. Brentford hosting Leicester, -103 to a +280. Southampton hosting Spurs. Spurs a road favorite at a -122. Southampton bottom of the table at a +355. Wolves and Leeds. Wolves right now +129. Your draws to +223. Leeds in the relegation zone at a +241. Your late game at 1:30 Eastern time. Chelsea hosting Everton. Chelsea's a -208. Your draws a +326. Everton is a +692. Also, on the 19th, one match on Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, Arsenal and Crystal Palace. Arsenal is a -370. Crystal Palace north of +1150. They're +1165. So you have that activity going on. And then this weekend, FA Cup, you have the round of 8s. Manchester City hosting Burnley. Manchester City a big favorite at a -556. Then on Sunday, it is 3 matches, Sheffield United and Blackburn. Sheffield United a -149. Brighton hosting Grimsby Town at a -833. Manchester United hosting Fulham at a -222. Fulham basically is a +600. That is the round of 8s scheduled for the FA Cup. So once again, Prem and Proper takes a week off as we get towards semifinals, finals, and continuing action in international and domestic competitions. We'll be back in 2 weeks to let you know what's going on as we get you ready for the first weekend of April and the sprint with only double-digit matches, barely, on the board left to decide who stays up, who goes to Europe, and who's hanging around in the Premier League. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out for another round of Prem and Proper. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games in the Premier League.